Hello guys and welcome to my YouTube channel. This is my first YouTube video and I don't really know where we're gonna go from here, but I just wanted to start creating some content. Yeah, so as you can see from the title of this video, I'm going to be talking about my birth experience. I am from Northern Ireland, which is the UK, part of the UK. Whenever I was pregnant, in my last trimester, my third trimester, I was always looking on YouTube to try and find some videos about birth experiences in the UK and Northern Ireland, because obviously that's where I'm from. So I just wanted to see kind of like what was out there, what happens, because in my throughout my whole pregnancy I didn't really know anything of like what happened and what like how like different things went, like labour and like when did you have to go to the hospital and all of those different things. So I was always searching on YouTube, and so I just want to share my experience. But yeah, so let's get into it. So I didn't actually film in the hospital. I took loads of photos and everything like that, but and I'll insert them as I go along, but I didn't actually film. But yeah, so I actually, you can see from the title, I actually had a planned C-section, so a cesarean. The reason I had this was because so this is my first pregnancy, so whenever they told me that I had to have a C-section, I was really gutted. I did not want to have a C-section. I wanted to go for a trial of labour. I wanted to have a very natural birth, particularly I wanted to have like a water birth, but that's not how it went. It didn't go as planned, obviously, not everything does. So yeah, whenever at my 28-week scan, so basically I had COVID at the start of my pregnancy whenever I was 10 weeks. So because of that, then I got extra scans. So I was on consultant-led care. So in the UK, you're either midwife or consultant-led or shared care. So I was consultant-led care because of this, because I had COVID and they obviously just wanted to keep like a check on me and on baby and everything. So I got an extra 2 scans. So I got a scan at 28 weeks and a scan at 34 weeks, which usually in the UK are free scans. Like the scans from the NHS that we get is 12-week scan, so your date and scan, and then your 20-week scan, your anomaly scan. So I had those, and then on my 28-week scan, I found out that my baby was breech. So beforehand, whenever I had scans, they did tell me, you know, your baby's breech. Like I went to private scans for gender and stuff, so they did tell me that my baby was breech, but you know, they said, you know, there's so much more time to for baby to turn and everything. So that was fine. So at 28 weeks, I went to hospital, got my 28-week scan just for them to measure the growth and everything, and they said that she was breech, but they didn't say anything about it. Then they just said she was breech and that was it, because they still can turn up until 37 weeks. So, well, 30 by 36 weeks. So they didn't say anything. So then I went back for my 34-week scan, and they at the hospital, and they said she's still breech. So realistically, they would like her to turn in the next couple of weeks. So they gave me another scan at 36 weeks. So I went in at 36 weeks, got another scan, and of course she was still breech. So they booked me in for a C-section. So basically, they in the UK they don't really, well, my hospital anyway, didn't give me the choice of having a vaginal birth with a breech baby because of complications. It's actually a lot safer just to have a C-section, even though it's surgery. So they just booked me straight in for a C-section. At 36 weeks, they wanted to see me again at 38 weeks because there still was a chance that she could turn, but they booked me in for the C-section just in case, because there was there's so many people that were booked in and stuff, so they just book you in just in case. So at 38 weeks, I went back for my last scan, and she was still breech, and there was no sign of her turning. So I was 38 weeks, and then by 39 plus 4, that was when my due date was, or my cesarean date scheduled for, 39 plus 4. So 38 weeks, still hadn't turned, so I was obviously preparing to have a C-section. So basically on the day, so I did have a C-section, so 39 plus 4, I was scheduled for my C-section. Thankfully I didn't go into labour, because if I did I would have had to go quickly to hospital. It would have been an emergency C-section, but thankfully I didn't go into labour, which was good. So on the date was Thursday the 23rd of June 2022. So basically because COVID still is around and everything, then we had to go in for 7 o'clock in the morning. So I had my COVID test at like 7:15. So I went up to, it's called fetal assessment, and you had to go in, basically just get the person, there was like a nurse there, or a midwife, I think it was a nurse, who done like a COVID test on me, and then you had to wait like 20 minutes for the COVID test to either show positive or negative. If you're positive, you can still get your C-section, like you still will have your C-section, but they just do like different steps. But I was negative, so that was fine. So that was about 20 to 8. I then was put up into delivery suite, and there I was just like put into like a wee bed, and then the consultant came around and just done another scan just to make sure that she was definitely breech, because if on the day that she's not breech, then they'll just send you home and you don't have your section. So yeah, they came and done a scan. She was still breech, so obviously go ahead with it. And then I was given my stockings. So they're these like long sock things. A lot of people say they don't like them, but I really like them. They're called like compression socks, but stockings anyway. So it basically stops blood clots happening after surgery, because that is a high risk of C-section. But yeah, so they gave me my stockings, they gave me my gown, they took a urine sample, and I think that was everything they did, because they had done my bloods the 2 days before. So they always do your bloods like prior to your surgery. And then, so I was second in line. So basically usually what happens is with the UK and like the NHS, you'll have like, there's like 2 or 3 C-sections a day, scheduled ones, and you'll either have like a first, second or third slot. You don't know your slots until you're there, but there was another person in front of me, so they went at about 9:30, and then my slot was scheduled for around 11, 11:30. So yeah, there is like usually 2 or 3 slots a day. So you're whenever you go in, you're given a slot basically, and it just depends. So sometimes like there could be emergencies come in or something like that, and then you could be pushed further like from your like slot. So but luckily like it was quite a quiet day, and the girl in front of me went first and she had hers at 9:30, and then I was in at 11. And then basically what happened, so we were waiting there just in the delivery suite from about 8 o'clock until 11 o'clock. And then once it hit 11 o'clock, then they came and got me. So basically just walk down to theatre from delivery suite. You bring your bags and everything. So Peter, my husband, he put the bags and everything into like this separate room, and he had to go off and get changed then. So he wasn't allowed to come in for the first part of my thing. So basically he took the bags, and then he got some scrubs and everything, because he has to wear scrubs because it is surgery. So he went and got changed while I went into the theatre, and basically they started with my spinal. So your partner isn't allowed in to have your, like when you're having your spinal. Basically what happens with the spinal, I was so scared about it, and it was a bit, so basically they just put in some local anaesthetic, they line up your back. It does take quite a long time to get your spinal, which I thought, I'd actually asked the anaesthetist beforehand like how long does it take, and she said like it doesn't take that long, but you probably think it takes a lot longer. It does, like it didn't actually take that long, it probably took about 5-10 minutes, but it felt like forever for me. So basically like sit you forward, have you line up, or they line up like where the right place is for the spinal, do a little like ultrasound your back, then they put the local anaesthetic in, and then they actually put the spinal injection into your back. And then once that happens, what they do is they spin you around and tell you to lie down flat, and then they start putting up like the drapes. They put on like your heart monitor on your finger, just so that they can monitor your stats while you're obviously during your thing. I just had a spinal for my C-section, so there's 2 different types. So you can either have a spinal, which is you're awake during the whole thing, or you can have local anaesthetic, which puts you to sleep, but that's very rare and it's only if like there's a complication or something like that you usually go under. So yeah, so it's usually just a spinal. So I had my spinal, and then they lie you down flat, put the drapes up, and then basically they are ready to begin. So they just like kind of go through like all of your details, make sure that everyone's in the right place and everything like that. And then this is when your partner can come in, when you're like lying flat on the bed. They then also put your catheter in. I forgot about that actually. They put your catheter in because you're basically numb from like here down and you can't feel anything. So they do test like if you're numb, if you're like fully numb before starting, obviously. So they like test with ice and everything just to make sure that you definitely can't feel anything. So basically my partner was able to come in, and then the surgeon come in, and basically they just began, they didn't actually tell me they began, but they just kind of like started, and then I could feel them kind of tugging and everything. The only thing I would say about C-section is, and what like I didn't really hear in any other videos, is that it's not sore, but it is uncomfortable. Like you can feel them like tugging to get the baby out. You can feel like them moving your stomach contents around, which is very strange. It's a very strange like sensation, and it also almost feels like near the end I almost felt like they were like pounding on my chest, and I like barely like breathe well. Even the anaesthetist was like, "Megan, you like calm down, just like try and breathe," because it was quite like a weird sensation. It wasn't sore because of the spinal, but it was like a strange type of feeling of them tugging and stuff. Like I could feel them kind of moving everything and like moving her. So yeah, so then the baby then is delivered, and usually what you can do is, or what they do is like put the baby above the drape so that you can see them. But because she took a bit longer to get out because she was kind of like stuck, like her head was right up in my ribs, then it took quite a long time to get her out. Then they had to just check her over and make sure that she was okay, but I could hear her crying and everything, so I knew she was okay, but they just had to do their checks just in case. So then after that she was allowed to come over and do skin to skin with me. So they basically, because she's like obviously a newborn, they need to be really really warm, because they can't regulate at all for especially the first 24 hours after birth. So they basically like wrapped her, or they put her like in, so I had like a gown on, and they put her like in my gown, and then put like a towel over her as well. Sorry if the position or lighting has changed. My little woman's woke up and I've just put her in my sling because she's still tired. Where did I get to? Whenever they're just born, they do allow you to do skin to skin. And then after that, basically they just stitch you up and everything like that. And then dad or partner or whoever is with you, your birthing partner, will take the baby, and you'll be wheeled out into recovery room. And in recovery, basically you have to feed the baby obviously because she needs fed, so whether that's breastfeeding or bottle feeding, she'll have her first feed. And then with me, they basically brought me and Peter some tea and toast, which was really nice because I was starving, because you have to fast the day before, or you have to fast like all day before your surgery. So yeah, we had some tea and toast, which was really nice. And on after you had like some tea and toast, then the midwives come in and they change you, because obviously I'm still numb. There was like a lot of bleeding, everything, so they just change all of that. They put you in your normal clothes, like your own clothes, instead of having a gown on. And then once you've been in you're in recovery for about an hour, everything, then they wheeled me down into the ward. And then what happened was my partner had to go home because he wasn't allowed to stay any longer than that. So he went home and we tried to get some rest. So we did. So I was still numb. I still had a catheter in until like that evening, when I could start feeling my legs again. and then basically before you to leave the hospital you have to like give so much urine and that sort of thing, so they measure all of that there, and then eventually they will take your catheter out if you can move your legs and everything, and then they do urge you to get up and walking. And the first time I took my steps after my spinal, it was very strange. Like there was a nurse with me, because if I didn't have a nurse I'd probably fall over because you are a wee bit unsteady, but like as long as you keep walking, like you do get your mobility back quite like fast. So but they do urge you to start walking like the same day, basically same evening that you had your C-section. So yeah, that was kind of my experience. The midwives and the healthcare staff and everyone was so nice. Like if you need to like ask anything or have it like you have any questions, or you just need someone, you can just say to them. Like it was a time where I like was just so tired because obviously I had went through the surgery and everything. The next morning I was so tired because she hadn't slept and stuff, and so like the midwife came in and she just took her and like just kind of nursed her beside me while I was able to get a wee bit of rest. So they're really lovely. Basically I stayed in for one night. So with the C-section you have to stay one night. It used to be that you had to stay like a week, and then you had to stay I like went down to like 3 days, and now it's only 1 day. You can stay 2 days if you feel like you're not ready to go home, or if you're still sore, if there's complications or anything like that. But I felt like I just wanted to go home, because it was quite like the after birth part was harder than the actual birth, because like when you're in the hospital, like obviously the midwives are there for you, but they are with like so many other women as well, and you don't have your partner and you don't have like your comforts and everything, so it's quite hard to kind of get rest and like feel yourself in that atmosphere. So I wanted to go home, so I like just wanted to be able to get home. So basically they just done all the checks and checked me out, and I was able to go home the next day, so the 24th, Friday the 24th. So yeah, that's just what I wanted to share, because I know there is like, I know for myself that I really wanted to kind of like see like a step-by-step of what happened like during a C-section, and like what kind of it felt like, and things like that. So yeah, that's kind of my positive experience. So like I did have a good birth. I would say it's not the birth I planned, but everything doesn't always go as planned, and that's okay. I've obviously came to terms with that, and yeah, it was definitely not as scary as I thought it was going to be. But yeah, that was my birth experience, and I'm now 8 weeks postpartum filming this, which I will do another video on postpartum, because it is definitely not talked about enough of what happens in the first trimester. So I would definitely share my experience with that soon. But yeah, that was my birth experience, and I hope you enjoyed. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed, and I'll see you in my next video.